Welcome to the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. I'm Sinclair Fleetwood, a ceremonialist, plant medicine guide, and psychedelic integration coach, and I help soul seekers create lasting transformation so you can get unstuck, embody your power, and be authentic AF, all with plant medicine as your guide. If you're ready to go beyond visuals and get a vision for your life, if you know the end of your ceremony is just the beginning of your expansion, then this show is for you. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome. Hello, family. I'm Sinclair. Welcome to the show. What are you doing Easter weekend? We are kicking off our 2025 season of ceremonial retreats here in Asheville, and we would love to have you join us. These events are so special. They are so connected, community-based. We have amazing food. We dive deep into the meditative space, the healing space, the ceremonial space with sacred fire. We work with the elements. We work with music, sound, singing, sacred songs, and really coming together to heal in community, to come out of our shells, to come bring the things that aren't working, to get unstuck, to find clarity, to make that big decision, make that big change in your life. It is a container of transformation. And somebody was like, Sinclair, why are you having your retreat on Easter weekend? And I was like, why would you not have it on Easter weekend? You know, when I see a portal of that is connected already to resurrection and rebirth, I am going to jump on that. And what better way to spend the season of rebirth, the season of spring, than rebirthing yourself, opening your heart, finding the vibration that you want and carrying it forward into your life. So if this sounds intriguing to you, book a call with me. You can go to my website, sinclairfleetwood.com, click on events and make an appointment to chat, and we can see if it's a good fit for you, and I can give you all the details. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to learn more about Nest Group Integration Program, you can do that on my website as well. Get on my email list. I send out love notes to my list once a week, along with new episodes of this podcast. So please connect, become part of the community. We would love to have you. So the other night, I was staying up too late and looking at my phone, doing a little scroll, doom scrolling, and came across this really beautiful post that was attributed to someone called White Eagle of the Hopi Nation, the indigenous Hopi Nation. And I was like, I've never heard of this person. Who is this? I want to know more from this person. It was such a good commentary on what's going on right now. So I did a little research and I found out, well, this post has been flopping around the internet for, some years, since at least the COVID days back in 2020. And likely there is no White Eagle, and this is not attributed to that person. So I just want to make it clear that this is not coming from an indigenous leader that I know of. I don't know who actually wrote this, but I found it really inspiring and really poignant for what's going on in our world right now. And it inspired this episode. And so I'm going to start the episode by reading it to you. This moment humanity is experiencing now can be seen as a door or a hole. The decision to fall into the hole or walk through the door is up to you. If you consume the news 24 hours a day with negative energy, constantly nervous, with pessimism, then you will fall into the hole. But if you take the opportunity to look at yourself, to think about life and death, to care for yourself and others, then you will walk through the door. Take care of your home, take care of your body, connect with your spiritual home. When you take care of yourself, you're taking care of everyone at the same time. Don't underestimate the spiritual dimension of this crisis. Take the perspective of an eagle, seeing everything from above with a wider view. There is a social issue in this crisis, but there's also a spiritual issue. The two go hand in hand. Without the social dimension, we fall into fanaticism. Without the spiritual dimension, we fall into pessimism and meaninglessness. You are ready to master this crisis. Grab your toolbox and use all the tools available to you. Learn resistance from the example of the Indian and African people. We were and still are being wiped out, but we have never stopped singing, dancing, lighting fires, and being happy. Don't feel guilty for feeling happy in these difficult times. Being sad or angry doesn't help at all. Resistance is resistance through joy. You have every right to be strong and positive. There is no other way to do this than to adopt a beautiful, joyful, and radiant attitude. This has nothing to do with alienation, with ignorance of the world. It's a strategy of resistance. When we walk through the door, we have a new worldview because we have faced our fears and hardships. That is all you can do now. Be calm in the storm. Stay calm. Pray daily. Make it a habit to encounter the sacred every day. Show resistance through art, joy, trust, and love. So thanks to whoever wrote this, sending blessings on your life. And thanks for Spirit sending it to me while I was in the middle of a Instagram panic attack, just getting a little caught up in the onslaught of negativity, of fear and of terror that's happening right now because of what's going on in our political system in the US. And what's going on here is affecting everyone because the United States is a big dominant bully culture and what happens here happens to everyone. We have a lot of power and we are an empire, and what we are witnessing and what we are living in is the beginning of the crumbling of the empire. And it's a scary thing to realize. It's a scary thing to watch of like, this is what happens to at the end of the age. This is what happens when there are big power grabs and when the institutions that we have trusted and believed in begin to falter and begin to crumble under their own corruption. They begin to crumble under their own bureaucracy and their own waste and they are creating their own end, right? So this idea came into my heart of this resistance through joy. And I've thought about this a lot over the years. We've been through a lot, you guys. We've been through COVID. I used to work for the Red Cross. I've been through so many disasters. I can't even tell you. My hometown where I live now just got wrecked by a hurricane a few months ago. And it sort of seems like it never stops. Like the amount of stress and activation that we have to live through and with, and the things that are going on in the world, the wars, it's not just what's happening here, but what's happening in all these different parts of the world and our ability to be connected to all of it at the same time. It's really overwhelming, and it gives us this feeling of hopelessness and despair. And really what this quote reminded me is that we always have a choice. We are spiritually resilient. How does that work? And we have a civic responsibility as citizens of the earth, of our own countries and states and cities. We have social responsibility to our fellow humanity, to our fellow humans, to the other people on this planet. We have a responsibility to the planet. We have an environmental responsibility. We have all of these ways that we want to show up in the world and not be cogs in the machine of a political system that is reinstating institutional racism, that is overtly sexist, that is homophobic and unconcerned with the rights of anyone other than billionaires. And I'm not here to make a big political statement. I'm not here to take a side. I don't have a side. My side is spirit. My side is humanity. My side is love. And I will never be on the side of totalitarianism, fascism, or any of these other isms that are taking the rights away from the people. I believe in the sovereignty of the people. I believe in the sovereignty of the land, of the earth. And I believe in the power of humanity to heal itself and to find our way. And so that's why I want to talk about this today. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge anyone's politics. I am here to offer a ray of light to help you find your own ray of light and to find your own resilience and to find it through joy and to know that the work begins here and now with you where you are, right? We know what's going on in the world, unless you've been hiding under a rock, which I try to do as much as possible. I have had the experience over and over of getting really caught up in this 24-hour news cycle, this like when something, big is happening, the election. I remember the first time this ever happened was back in 9/11, September 11th, 2001. I worked for Austin Energy in Austin, Texas. I was a photographer there, and I remember being at work and the planes hitting the towers and everything turning into chaos, and they sent us home and watching the news from the lobby of my building and those tickers popping up, and like those do not used to be there. This 24-hour news cycle did not used to exist. There was a time when we didn't have the news on all the time. There was a time when there wasn't this information onslaught, like fire hydrant at your face when you turn on a television, when you turn on the radio or the TV or social media. We didn't really have, social media was just getting started back then, you know, so we didn't have all of these outlets. Like you had to go to like NPR or actually tune into a news channel to get news. But now it leaks, it seeps into you, whether you are wanting to engage with it or not. And one of the most insidious places that it's been happening to me is on Facebook, which is why I no longer use Facebook. They started showing me ads and ads for news organizations. So they would just put something in front of me that's like a clickbait headline or some kind of like, here, terrible disaster is happening. And I have curated that so well that I only want to see my friends. I follow spiritual things and that's it. I don't follow any businesses. I don't follow any news. And they just started advertising it to me. And so I decided to stop using it. The thing about it being so pervasive, this vibration of the global situation, it gets in. The vibration gets in, the news gets in. When something happens, you will find out about it, whether you're seeking it out or not. That's how the information system that we have works. We are so connected now, there's no way around finding out about it. So it's been an interesting thing to look at in myself in this wanting to be personally responsible. I come from an activist background. I have always been very politically active. I have been a protester. I have worked in abortion clinics to help women exercise their reproductive rights. I have spent a lot of time on the front lines of like LGBTQ rights activism. And at one point when I started working with the medicine and opening my spiritual path, I recognized that those ways of engaging with civic responsibility did not resonate with me anymore because they felt personally harmful to my well-being. I felt like I could never be woke enough, that no matter how much I protested and how much I was against the right things and allied with the things that I wanted to support, I still felt like I was failing. And it brought out all this perfectionism and people pleasing. And I started looking at all these groups that I was a part of. And I was like, I don't want to define myself by being against things. I want to be for something. So I started just dissolving my relationships with groups and like identity politics and all of these different things that had been such a huge part of me claiming my identity began to die. That was my ego death through the medicine path with ayahuasca, was her showing me like, here is all these boxes that you've put yourself in, and me saying, I don't agree. I don't belong in this box anymore. And coming into a place of still wanting to support my fellow humans, still wanting to be an ally, wanting to be an activist in the way of being actively loving and actively joyful and actively sharing good vibration and actively on the medicine path and being active as a medicine person, as a medicine woman who is taking these lessons into myself and changing my life. Because when I was an activist, I was an addict. I was a sex crazed addict and I was doing the activism, but my life was in shambles. I wasn't okay. I was not okay. And most of the people that I hung out with at the time were similarly not okay. There was a big party scene. Everybody was just trying to cope. You know, we were all trying to cope with how heavy the politics felt living in Austin, Texas, where we had such a right-wing government and such a restrictive government for people just wanting to be themselves and love who they want to love and have control over their own bodies and live life in peace, you know? Now we come into this time where this is continuing to happen, you know? It's not like it's ever stopped. We are at the end of the empire. We are the Romans, you know? We are the ones that are coming up to the edge of like watching this, and it's like this is going to crumble because there's no way for it to keep going the way that it is unless people's spirits are crushed and they just give up. And I don't believe that we are going to give up. I certainly am not going to give up. And I also don't want to be in an echo chamber. I don't want to be a spiritual bypasser. And so we have to look at, where do we find ourselves in these little groups where we're like, looking at the other and othering people who believe differently than us, who are maybe in a different awareness than us, who are perhaps ignorant of a higher way of seeing things, a higher way of thinking, a more evolved way of thinking. Most of those ways of being, the closed-minded, all of these ways that we blame cultures or races or women or gay people for the problems in the world, come from a deep sense of fear inside of a person, a fear of losing their job, a fear of losing their home, of losing their land, of not having enough. It's a deep scarcity mindset, right? So all of this news and all of this, the way that the political system works now is through media, and the media is there yelling at you like, be afraid, be afraid. And it activates your most base fears, the ones that maybe you're not even aware of, the hidden ones, the ones where you're like acting out of a survival instinct. And some people are doing that and not having the ability to take a beat and take a moment and say, how else could I do this? And so it leads us more and more into these like factions, these sides. And the problem is not with the sides. That is the illusion, right? So in Rome, they would have battles in the Colosseum, and the whole community would come and everybody would be, watching this entertainment while the leaders were fleecing them. And that's what's happening now. We are being entertained. We are being distracted. We are being tricked. And what's happening is a dog and pony show where the titans of capitalism are just continuing to take more and more and more and more. It can feel really overwhelming. It can feel like, okay, what are my options? I can either go into a spiritual cave and sequester myself and stay inside of my diamond encrusted cave where nothing bad happens and it's love and light and I don't pay attention to anything and everything is good, man. And I'm just going to send out good vibes and I'm going to make prayers and it's all good. Or I'm going to fall in a hole and give up. And for some people, that hole is so deep, the abyss is so deep, the pessimism is so deep. They are so looking at the big picture of the huge power of the machine, and they don't see a way out. There's no way forward, right? There's only despair and pessimism and loss and real personal fear for your safety, for your rights, for the people you love. So all of these things are real. The desire to run into a diamond cave and hide forever and like bring your best friends and just get a DJ and have a party in there and never come out, move to Tulum, whatever you have to do is real, right? And the despair is real. And so that's where this paradox of, okay, I want to run, I want to be in love and light only, but I also see how much suffering and pain and turmoil this is causing. So we don't want to spiritually bypass. And the shadow comes alive in spiritual emergency. The shadow in ourselves, the shadow in the world. Everything is a reflection. Everything is a mirror. So what's going on in the government, in the society, in the collective is also going on individually inside of us, right? These emergencies, these crises bring up our own shadows, our own fears, our own worst impulses. And it's our work on the medicine path to take this and transform it into something more beautiful, more beneficial. We are here to usher in the resistance. We are here to usher in the new humanity, the new earth. And that doesn't mean we're abandoning this earth and going to a new one. When I say new earth, I mean the earth of compassion, the earth of love, the earth where everyone matters, where everyone is taken care of. We have so much wealth and there's so much ability to clothe, feed, and give care to everyone on this planet. We have the ability to plant forests, to reforest this entire earth. We have the ability to bring back the animals, to bring back the sovereignty of the animals, to give them space, to share. We have the ability to do so much. And I know that it's possible because I believe it in my heart. I have felt it and I know it. And we are here to do that. And so as this shadow comes through, this big, scary, like, what the fuck? How are we going to live through this? Another, like, it's like how you felt at the beginning of COVID, or how you felt at 9/11, or how you felt every time like something horrible happens. We've been through a lot, family, as like, I'm in Gen X, I'm 47, like, what the shit, right? And thank God for plant medicine. Thank you for psychedelics. Thank you for these beautiful medicines that help us bring our consciousness to a higher level. And so these medicines are showing us that there is a path to walk. There are two paths. The path of the abyss, or the path of the portal. Is it a door or a hole? Are we going to fall into darkness or rise into the light? And we have to learn how to navigate duality in spiritual emergency. We have to learn how to embrace these paradoxes. The paradox of wanting to protect the temple, to protect your own temple, to not put too much in, to be aware, but also be discerning, right? To practice both and thinking instead of black and white thinking. To understand that expansion requires contraction. We have to go through these periods of things getting really hard and scary. That's where mutations happen. That's where the magic happens. Humans do not change unless we are under duress. It's very hard for us to change unless things get very bad sometimes, especially as a whole. And you can look at history to show you this. You know, we've had these huge world wars, and it's like, here we are right back here again. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to get really far out of balance. We're going to forget, because it's been a generation. It's been a few generations since these big world wars. So we don't have the memory of that. We don't have the living people to remind us of the atrocities that we've committed. And history doesn't speak very loud to us now because we don't have the attention span for it. We don't learn from history very well. I don't know about you, but I get that. I have had that way. I have had to learn that way myself in my addiction, especially the light versus shadow, like knowing so much that I was really destroying myself and not being able to stop, and watching myself make choices that were actively going to be the end of me and not being able to stop. That's what humanity is doing. We are the animal that's destroying our environment and taking all of the other species down with us. You know, we're doing it really hard. We're getting it hard. Our contraction is turning us inside out. It's a big paradox to see how beautiful humanity can be, to hold this dream of living in a different way, of being in peace. So it's our job on the medicine path to hold the expansion and the contraction together at once, to operate in both and thinking, to feel horrified and hopeful, to feel exhausted and energized, to invite in the light and love the shadow together. And that's what the medicine is here to teach us. We are doing all of this personal healing for ourselves on this path. Why are we doing it? Because we need to be in the best place that we can be so we can support our communities and we can be resilient and ready to handle whatever comes, right? I like to look to the earth, to the indigenous elders, to the ancestors for wisdom. And in this case, as I'm reminded in this quote, the African communities, the Native American communities, the First Peoples, the peoples who have been here, who have been exploited, who have had their land stolen, who have been enslaved, who have been victims of genocide, and the system, the man, has tried to take them out over and over, and has taken them out, has taken a lot of them out, has wiped away their culture, taken their traditions, made it illegal for them to pray, forced them into new religions. I mean, there's so much abuse, and It's literally genocide. That's what happens. When a culture is destroyed and another culture takes over and takes all of their religious, I mean, we do it. We see the conqueror, the colonialist empire mindset over and over and over. It's conquer, destroy, take, rape, and pillage. And what happens in those communities? What happened in the slave communities in the South? What happened in the Native American communities? They sang, they prayed, they danced, they made love. They continued to practice their religions and traditions and kept their languages alive. They kept their hope alive. They kept their worldview alive in community, in joy. They were joyful anyway. They were like, you can take my body, you can take my land, but you cannot take my spirit, you cannot break my spirit. And that is the most inspiring and beautiful thing that I can share here is look to the strong cultures, look to the keepers of the medicine, look to the keepers of the land, look to the worldviews that make sense to you, that resonate with you. Look to the ancestors to speak to you across the generations. We are here to be inspired by the ones that came before us, and we also are here to be alchemizers, to take these beautiful teachings, to take this energy that they carried through the darkest timelines. They survived, they thrived, because we're here. If they hadn't, we would not be here. If they hadn't fought for love, love wouldn't exist anymore. There are always helpers. There are always resistors. There are always people who are fighting the good fight, and they are doing it with a smile and a song in their heart. And that's why I love the medicine of ceremony. That's why I love the San Pedro cactus. That medicine is full of joy, and it's my pleasure to be able to have a relationship with it. And these medicines are here to teach us. They are here to enlighten us, to lighten our hearts, to open our hearts, to bring us out of the space of the mind of worry and stress and fear, and to bring us into the present moment, and to allow us to bring our attention back in, to give us the reminder that we have discernment. We have the ability to make judgments, to discern, to decide what comes in and what stays out, and to revel in the miracle of being alive. If we are alive, it is not too late. If we are alive, we are here to do something different. And it's our job to sing and to commune and to celebrate. And one way this happened for us was during Hurricane Helene. This storm barreled through Asheville and Western North Carolina, and it was bad. And I knew it was going to be bad because I have been through this before. I used to work at the Red Cross for 8 years, so I've been through a lot of disasters, and I could tell that it was going to be intense by the way they were talking about the preparedness messages that were coming. So I was prepared. I had water. I had my bathtubs filled. Like I know what to do. I've done it a lot of times. And it didn't seem that bad. And then the floods came, and no one had been through something like this here. We live in the mountains. A hurricane in the mountains. That's a whole other subject. Hurricanes coming up into these mountains. Like what is happening? So people were really not understanding like what was going to happen, and nobody knew the power and the internet and everything was going to turn off. Everything. Imagine having no power, no food, no water, no internet, no communication. Everything. Civilization stopped. And for some blessed reason, because I have a practice. We came together as a family. We found our people and we started making plans. Okay, how do we get water? What kind of food? Who's got a refrigerator? My power came back on a couple of days later, so everybody brought their food to my house. So we started making hurricane cuisine. We had some good stuff in the freezer. We had like some scallops and all kinds of stuff. So we started cooking for people, and my home became a little hub of a safe place for people to be. And people came over and we just rested. We didn't have the ability to look at the news. We couldn't call anyone because nothing was going through. So once we started getting a little communication, we invited people to my house and we hung out and we sang and we spent time together and we laughed and we had tobaccos and we got through it. And then my team and I drove to Maine from Asheville and put on a 4-day retreat after going through a hurricane like a week later. And man, we were fried, but we had a blast because we love doing this work and we love helping people heal. And it took every drop of energy that I had to do this retreat. And I came home and I was totally wrecked and everything was broken when we got home and it was really hard. And if it hadn't been for the family gathering together and the people coming together and friendship and just going through this with people who love each other and care about each other, it would have been really scary and hard. And I'm so grateful that we decided to be joyful. We were crafting. We were just having fun because everything stopped and there was nothing else to do. And there were moments where, we walked down to the river and watched it just crushing our city. And it was so surreal to see this beautiful city just being destroyed by floods while we're standing on a bridge watching it. And it was chaos. It was like, what happens when civilization is not existing? This is what happens. And what I saw was overwhelmingly love, connection, support, people taking care of each other, people sharing resources, people communicating. I met my neighbors that I didn't even know before. Like, it was a beautiful time of the best of humanity coming out. And there were also some scary parts. We went out one night after curfew and it was a little bit wild, So everything is true, both and, right? So how do we take all of this guidance from the medicine, the guidance from the ancestors? How do we resist in joy? How do we get through this together as a family? What is the rising sun light coming through to show us the way? And I believe the answer is to raise our perspective, like the eagle, to see the larger picture, to cultivate a sacred witness consciousness in yourself, but also in humanity, seeing this as a larger cosmic, karmic evolution of consciousness. There is some reason that it needs to be this way. Do I know what that is? I don't. I know that we are here to experience the full spectrum of light and dark. We're here to experience everything. And that includes some things that are really painful and difficult and challenging. If I can see all of this happening through a compassionate perspective, it feels much softer for me. If I can look at the people who make me the most angry, I'm not naming any names, but you can guess who those people are. If I can send them love and compassion, it feels so much better in my body. It feels so much safer in my body. It feels so much better for me. And me sending hate and vitriol and getting enraged and wanting to talk about it and bitch about it and worry about it and scroll about it and get all wired up and riled up about what's going on does not serve me or the collective. Me being in a state where I can't focus, I can't do my work because I'm all having anxiety attacks about the government collapsing is not helping anyone. And it's not my role to fall apart. My role is to be together. So I am here to be together. I am here to pull it together. I am here to be the eagle, to adopt a compassionate perspective and to know that we are all connected. And this fear and this worry, as Bill Hicks says, this is just a ride. They're trying to trick us and tell us there's something else going on, but there's not. It's just a ride. And we have the ability to make whatever reality we want. With respect and acknowledgement to there is a reality going on that is full of suffering and terror and panic and pain. I don't want to participate in that. So my only ability to take care of myself is to remove my attention from it and put it where I want it to be. So how do I do that? How I do that is doing this work, is sharing these downloads with you. It's to call back all of my energy, to put boundaries around my consumption of engaging in the vibration of the empire, and to gather and celebrate and retreat and ceremony and sing and dance and create and write and make art and make love and enjoy my life instead. And for me, enjoyment, sacred resistance, being empowered and embodied and enjoying and taking care of myself and taking care of those I love and spreading the medicine vibes, that is resistance. That is my resistance strategy, is to be on output, put out light so that this darkness cannot get in here and take me down. It can't take me down. And anyway, I'm a shadow walking dimension walker, so you can't take me down anyway. Those of us who are doing this medicine work, good luck. We have been to hell. We can do anything. Like, you cannot stop us, right? So now is the time to care for those parts of you that feel scared, to care for those inner childs, those inner children, the parts of you that wants to make and create and be curious. And it says, well, it's not a good time. Like, I feel like everybody's really in a bad way, so I need to be small and suffering. No, you don't. When you see someone suffering, taking that in and suffering also does not lessen their suffering. It makes more suffering. When we see something going on in the world and we are like, I need to lower myself to really feel what they're feeling, that is creating more suffering. What we can do instead is send love, send light, be the change that you want to see in the world. This is what Gandhi said, right? Be the change that you want to see in the world. Call back the parts of yourself that are leaky. Bring your energy into focus. Bring your power into focus. And oh my fucking God, feel your feelings. Acknowledge that you feel afraid. Acknowledge that you feel overwhelmed, that you feel scared, that this wild insanity is terrifying. And know that it will pass. And we're going to make it through it. Refuse to be ill, to be sad, to be tired, to be overwhelmed and beaten. Not bypassing those feelings, acknowledging them when they come. But we don't get stuck there. We're not getting taken down. We are empowered. And we are healing. We are healing our ancestral pain. We are healing all the way back and all the way forward. We are walking in beauty. We are walking in the beauty way. And being in joy is not ignorance. It's not disappearing the world and pretending like none of this is happening. It's looking it dead in the eyes and being happy anyway. Knowing that your happiness raises the vibration. Your happiness lifts everyone. When one person does better, we all do better. This is the thing that everyone needs to understand. We think it's, oh, that person's doing well, so I can't do well. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That person's doing well. Man, I bet I can do well too. I'm gonna do some good care of myself so I can be doing well. Man, that guy's inspiring me. If we could shift our mindset and start looking at each other as friends and family and neighbors instead of enemies and people who are taking, it's not the neighbors. It's not the people from other countries that are taking. It is not the brown people and the black people family. The people who are taking are the people at the top. These things that are trying to take our attention are not worth our attention. What is worth our attention is love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, loving your neighbor, regardless of their beliefs or their skin color or where they're from. You love them no matter what, because they're part of our human family. And sometimes we can love people from afar because it's hard to be around them. So you can exercise your discernment and don't spend time with people that make you feel like they want to fight with you or they are blaming you for doing something or taking something or calling you a parasite or something like that, right? We have more than enough. There is more than enough for everyone to be healed, for everyone to be healthy, for everyone to be taken care of. There's more than enough to restore the earth, to regenerate her. She knows what to do. We need to get out of the way. Give her space and time. She fixes it herself. That's how she works. So what you can do in this time is walk through the door and don't fall in the hole. And if you fall in the hole, have some strategies to get yourself out. Sometimes we all fall in the hole for a moment. We don't want to stay down there. When you feel yourself falling into the hole, call a friend, get some support, get off the internet, go outside. Don't latch onto the collective suffering and chaos. Remember that you can be the sacred witness. You can be the eagle. Rise above, out of it, and remember that all of this is just a ride here to teach us how to do both and, how to hold paradox, how to confront challenges and face our fears so that we can grow and have a new worldview, a more optimistic worldview, a more beneficial worldview. You can remain in your power. You can be calm. You can be centered. You can be soft. You can recognize and acknowledge the situation and protect your temple. No bad news is getting in here, because I am a sovereign divine being, and my vibration and my power is the most important thing that I have to share. So me sharing my light is the most important thing. How can I share it? How can I create? How can I love? How can I be more involved in my community? How can I be in service? Be in service to your brothers and sisters. Community is where we foster resilience and joy. Gather with people, join together, support each other, and find ways that you feel joyful and share it. And give yourself unlimited permission to be in joy. When you find a little pocket of joy, milk it. Raise it up, like fan that fire, that joy fire. If it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more people will be in joy and less people will be tolerating the bullshit that's going on. You know what I'm saying? We have a divine direction. We are the eagle. Remember your purpose. Remember why you're doing this, and ask the medicine for guidance. This is our integration. This is our humanity. This is the time that we're here. And the empire may fall, but our joy and our love will live forever. And we are going to be capable and resilient to survive anything. And it starts with you, and you don't have to have anything different. You don't have to be different. You can do this right here, right now, where you are with what you have. I always say, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. That's my favorite quote by Arthur Ashe, amazing tennis player, also amazing activist. And so I invite you this week, ask yourself, how can you resist with joy? How can you put these practices into your daily life? What do you need to be more joyful? Do you need to do some deeper healing with yourself? Give yourself permission, because now is the time. There is no more delays. We have to do our work so that we can be in a good vibration, because we have to be that way in order to make it through. If we keep putting it off, if we keep putting ourselves last, if we keep letting our cup run out, we're not going to make it. So all hands on deck. It's time to transform whatever is in the way. Let's take care of it. And if you want some support, you can come find me on my website, sinclairfleetwood.com. Come to a retreat. Come vibe with us in love. Come to the Resonance Resurrection on Easter Sunday. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being part of this family. And see you next time.